Behind the Shades.
You look like you have a lot on your mind. What's going on?
I am I'm feeling conflicted, I guess. Um Not okay, maybe not conflicted. Conflicted may not be the right word. I think the word would be um frazzled. I'm disappointed. I'm feeling just you know what? It's and this just hit me like a box of rocks. It's like every other time I talk to you, like when I'm a little more motivated or a little more confident in where I am, like it's just life, It's an ever evolving, ever changing series of events and just emotions and um, actions and consequences of those actions, whether they're ours or someone else's. It doesn't change how we're affected.
So, for
And
those who don't know, Amanda, when you say that the actions of others and emotions bring everyone up to speed, what exactly do you mean and the context that it applies to you?
as it applies to me, okay. Um, well, let's just, from the let's give a little forward. I'm a survivor and a warrior, I believe. I was in a very long on and off narcissistic abusive marriage that it was narcissistic abuse, emotional, mental, and physical abuse. And it came to a breaking point where I almost lost my life, like I literally almost lost my life, um, to get me out of it and to make me realize that if I don't, then I may not be so lucky next time. And that was November of 2021. No. Sorry. November of 2020 was the last physical attack on my person. And he was arrested and went to jail and I spoke at his sentencing. I followed it all the way through. And I've began my authentic healing journey. Like I stayed single, I didn't date, I didn't entertain any ideas of that. I was just so dedicated to getting to know myself and learning to authentically love myself before I allowed another person in. And I went on a date not long after our first interview, I guess. It was close to that 1 year mark. Um, Went on a date, took it very slow. I don't think we went on another date for almost a month. But that was 5 months ago, almost 6 months ago now, 5 months ago. And this was not a new person in my life. He was someone I knew and that I worked closely with on projects and I had a lot of respect for, almost admiration even. And when he showed interest in me, I almost didn't even know what to do with that. I didn't know that I even deserved to have that interest shown in me. I don't know. I was kind of excited in the I guess in a way like it's like, okay, well maybe he's showing this interest in me because he recognizes my growth. Maybe if there's a change in me that, I'm getting my strength back and I was. That's absolutely the truth. And looking back on it in hindsight, that's probably exactly what he was attracted to. And I don't really know where I'm going with this, except for it was just this whirlwind of beautiful. It was beautiful, like the dating and the mutual respect I felt was there. He was very thoughtful. He was very um, respectful of my boundaries, I thought. Um, but everything is all relative, I think. So when I say that, what I mean is for me, it was like in comparison to what I had dealt with in my past, this was Prince Charming, the most perfect, situation I felt I had ever been in. And it gave me hope. And I kind of clung to that, and it made me smile on the inside, like to think that maybe there's hope, for me to be happy with another person on this planet in my lifetime. And it was comforting, and it was all very good. But it, looking back at what it was when I started to notice a change. Like, I'm very perceptive and my intuition is really strong. I need to get better at trusting that. But when I realized that there were things that were off, and I started to do some reflection on the beginning of the relationship, it was love bombing 101. And when I say love bombing, I mean it's not the normal, like when you meet someone, everyone always puts their first foot, like their best face forward. They want to impress you. They want to, they dress nice. We put our makeup on, we do our hair, and everything. We want to impress that person. Love bombing is beyond that. Love bombing is when it's so perfect. And like, and you get kind of swallowed up in that person's ability and their kindness and their ability to make you the center of the whole universe. And I hadn't felt that. I don't know if I had ever really felt that other than when I was love bombed by my husband. So I got wrapped up in it, and I sort of let my guard down. And then one day a lie happens. And I asked him about it. It's just a small lie. It's just something that I just didn't add up. And I asked him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that was pretty wrong of me. I probably shouldn't have done that." And I was like, "Cool. I appreciate you acknowledging that. You never have to lie to me. Like, I'm an understanding person. If you want to do this instead of that, then just tell me. I'll be okay." And then, okay, all is forgiven. Business as usual. And then it happens again 2 weeks later, sort of the same situation. And then again a week later. And see, here's the thing with that. This is why I believe that I found myself in another narcissistic situation, is because I heard someone once say, and he's a narcissist himself, very popular on TikTok, and he said, "When you take us back and you forgive us for something that would normally be a deal breaker, we sort of see it as, well, if you're taking us back, then you deserve it. And then you're okay with this behavior." Narcissists don't see it as, okay, well, I made a mistake and this person cares enough to offer me forgiveness and to give me another chance, and I'm going to do everything I can not to mess that up again. I think they truly see it as, all right, I got a free pass. Let's push a little more and see just exactly what we can get away with. And, it hurts, to offer someone forgiveness. You have to care a great deal for someone when they hurt your feelings and when they know your boundaries and they cross them knowingly. And when you offer that forgiveness, then there's a connection there that you're not willing to just cut off. And so I feel taken advantage of, and I feel like this person came into my life knowing my story, which is the worst part. I'm very open and honest and raw with what I've been through, with my history. And so when someone knows every intimate detail of what you've been through and weaponizes that against you, that is not love. That is not respect. That is not compassion. That is not empathy. That is not anything that is conducive to a future with that person.
Could it be, Amanda, that during the time period where you were searching for someone to treat you the way that you wanted to be treated, there were certain things that you were missing? And when people came into your life to show you these things that you're missing, you wanted to hold on to it because it was so precious to you.
Yeah, I don't I like okay, so when you say searching that time period, like I wasn't looking for it. I didn't even want it. Honestly, I didn't even want it. And had it not been him, I would never have even taken that step. I wouldn't have gone out with anyone else. Um, and yeah, it did take me off guard. It caught me off guard, and it was a breath of fresh air. It was unexpected. I wasn't searching for it. It was unexpected and it felt good.
And sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes we do get caught up in what feels good. Like if you take it a step back and away from you and I, this could explain a lot of behaviors that some people do participate in, because you hear the story about some people who are neglected at home and they go outside of the household to find love. And many of them end up being very promiscuous. They look into drugs, they run into gangs because you have these elements giving them something that they believe that they need. It's just the product is wrong. In regards to you, I know your story. For those who've seen your previous interviews, they know your story. They may look at you and say that all you ever wanted to be was to be loved. And if you got it from someone that was familiar to you, what if it was someone else that wasn't as familiar? Let's say it was someone who was at the beginning a stranger and they came up to you and they said, Amanda, from what I know, you seem to be a nice person. You're an attractive person. I want to get to know you a little bit more. I think in that situation, your guard would have been a little bit more up. Your boundaries would have been more defined in that scenario. But when it's someone that's close to us, and for those listening, most of the bad things that happen to us are done by people we know. So in your situation, what is it that you ultimately wanted when you look back on not only this relationship, but the last 2 years, Amanda?
Well, I think that I think what anyone wants is just to feel accepted and loved, like it's um with this situation, I wasn't looking for anything. I'm so sorry, I'm losing my voice. I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't um want any of this, but I think regardless of whether I was looking for anything romantic with anyone, in any relationship, like with my friendship with you and other people that I've come into contact with this last year, my family, my children, you want to feel accepted and you want to feel loved and you want to feel worthy. You want to know that you have something to offer. Like with me, and anyway, I want to know that day to day, my interactions, that I leave people better than I found them, that I have something to offer that lifts them. Um, I never want to leave someone broken or sad because of their interaction with me. That's important to me. And I think it's important to me because of my background. I don't want to be what people have been to me. But and yeah, and you're right. I would have definitely, there are people who, not to, I feel cocky or anything, but I get so many people in my inbox. Guys, I want to know you. I'm like, sorry, I just no. You know what I mean? Like I can feel their intentions and I can feel and my walls shoot straight up. I wish that I had the same protective instinct with other people, including my family, including my friends, including this person,
Why do you
because,
think you don't have that?
well, because I know them, they're part of my life already, and I'm still seeking acceptance, and I don't know why I do that. I've been reflecting on that quite a bit since one of our lives that we did, when we were speaking about my kids and, different um, relationships in my life where I've had those struggles. And I don't know why. I'm so desperate to have their acceptance. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know the mistakes I've made. No one is harder on me than me. But I also know that my intentions and my actions and how much love I have to give, I know I've given that to people. And I think what has happened is that this last year or so, when I've started to live in my own truth and focus on my own healing and really, really focus on building a better life for myself so that my future looks more beautiful. All the people that I used to fall over myself and sacrifice everything that I needed and wanted to do what they wanted of me, or to give what they needed from me, I think they are feeling slighted. It's almost like now everyone thinks I'm being super selfish and that I don't love my family and that I'm not as devoted to my friends. But I can turn that and I can also say, I don't feel like you guys care at all about what I have gone through and where I am and where I need to be. Because I can honestly say that so many of these people have watched me go through all of these struggles, watched me. And when I say watch me, I mean from a comfy seat at home without a phone call, without even the banter that I have with you. and and they've been very quiet while watching me struggle. But they're very loud when I've chosen myself I've chosen to focus on saving me rather than diving in headfirst to save them. I can't do that right now, Taryn. I'm in a position right now where if I don't focus on my healing and if I don't continue on this path, then I don't have a lot more of this in me. I don't have a lot more of being broken in me. So I have to protect myself. And unfortunately, a lot of that means I have to protect myself from people who I have believed my whole life loved me and had my best interests at heart. And I believed that. I believed that blindly. And I'm just getting to the point in my adult life. I'm 42 years old. And I'm reflecting on so many situations in my life where I was alone during my darkest times.
And
And
that's the
still
thing, right?
believing that these people were there for me, but they weren't there.
And that's what it is. I like to categorize people, or at least people around me, into three categories. You have the people that are there for you when you want to party, the Friday night, the Saturday night people. The people that are there that you can have conversations that are meaningful and they will support you, but you don't necessarily speak to them every single day. And then there's a group of people that you know that anytime you're going through something, they're one of the first people that you call, because these are the people that you know that if 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, or even a month has gone by, they will be there for you, either financially, emotionally, for the conversation. And What you need to figure out, Amanda, is that some people will maneuver themselves around you, especially when there's a benefit. Your money, your time, your resources. But as soon as you start to limit what their purpose is to be around you, then you're like the enemy because they're either there for a season, there for a reason, or they're there for a meaning. And what you're going to have to find out is that the older you get, the smaller your circle is. If I take a look at my life and tell you, when I bought my house, there's some people who I was friends with for years that turned around and told me, why is it that you can get a house and I can't? Within that same year, the friendship was over because you can't bring everyone along. The more successful you become emotionally, the more you begin to repair yourself, the more you begin to heal. Some people are going to get left behind because you are more of a benefit to them when you're broken. But now
Yes.
that you start to piece things together, you are no longer a compassionate case, you are competition because your life is going to start to get better and they may not be able to compete with the new you.
Or use and abuse the new me. You just said everything that I've been trying to get out. Like, and you put it into words better than I can right now because I'm so emotional, but that's exactly the truth. Like, there are people who that are there for you only as long as they can take away from you. And when there's nothing left to give you or take from you, then you're of no use to them. And I think what I'm struggling with is who those people are.
Are those people important to you?
The most, like, when you say your circle has to be small, they're like, if there was nobody else on earth, like, they're those people. And I've had to accept distancing myself from them because if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I don't mean I'm just gonna die physically, but mentally, I feel like I'm just gonna break. And I have to distance myself and set these boundaries, give them a reason to step back and respect me and to respect my journey. Because I haven't given them a reason to. I've always just put myself, I've just taken a back seat to myself to give everyone else all of my resources, all of my time, all of my energy, all of my money, just everything that I had that I felt was of worth. I have given it to everyone but me. And I was happy to do that. And there was this day that I realized that when I needed just a little compassion, just a little bit, just someone to even just listen, and nobody was there. Nobody was there. And then because I had already given them everything that I had that they wanted from me, I didn't have anything left to offer them in that moment. And so I became their enemy. Like you said, I became the bad guy. And when I vocalized how I felt, I immediately I went from the bad guy and got promoted to villain. And I've had to accept that is how they feel. But I know, and I stand firm in my truth, and I know who I am. and I'm confident that it'll all work itself out one day. But right now, this is where I have to be present.
There's a beautiful quote in a movie that I've watched years ago, and it says that you either die a hero or you live long enough to be the villain, because everyone's story needs to have a villain. And this can go back to those who search for someone to blame, for someone to put their problems on. You, based on what you do for a living, you're a nurturer, you're an empath, you're very caring. And that can put you in a difficult situation because you're always giving and giving. But Amanda, at what point do you look at your own cup, realize it's empty, and ask for someone else to help you refill it?
I don't know that I will ever have it in me to ask anyone to fill my cup. But what I need from the people who are in my life and want to continue to be in my life is to just give me some time to fill it myself, and without taking it away from me. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Have you asked them?
I'm sorry.
Have you asked those who are still close to you to give you the time that you believe you need?
I have, and what I've realized is that either those people have gone away, or they agree that I need that, but are still covertly draining me. And I'm like I said, it's a cycle. Life is never going to be just super easy, and there are highs and lows all the time, and there are lessons in everything. And this has been a big lesson for me, a big reminder. And I guess we can call it progress. I mean, it was 6 months and not 6 years or 16 years, you know. But it's still very difficult for me to just give up on people, to give up on someone, even though they're actively tearing me apart. I still struggle with doing what's right for me.
Do you feel that you're ever going to be able to find the type of people you want and keep them around you?
I do. I mean, I think that I'm well on my way to that, you know. I work so much, you know this. I work so much that I don't have a whole lot of time for my personal life, but I made a lot of progress in the way of keeping positivity and surrounding myself with positivity. It was just this person, you know, but it happened to be someone who got really close to me really quick, and and was able to take a lot more from me than I realized was being taken. And when I did realize it, you know, I was very hyper vigilant, and I've stayed on top of it, and I've paid really close attention, and now that situation's over. It's over.
When
And
you
I
look
can't have
back,
any more interaction with this person. I can't.
when you look back, Amanda, and you
I don't even know
see
if I
the
answered
types
the
of
question.
people and you see the type of people that have entered your life, is there, now we're being reflective, is there any similarities between the people that are coming into your life, that are exiting it and leaving you in the way that you are being left in?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And well, let me make it very clear. It's like, yeah, they are energy vampires. They're people who you don't really realize it when you meet them. Like I said, best face forward always. But as their mask slips and as you get to know people on a deeper level, and you can see the patterns, they're always the same. Um, Even their backgrounds have a lot to, they're the same, you know. Um, three people, I can tell you three of the men that I've had in my life that have been significant relationships. Well, and this last one, I think it was significant, even just because we had known each other so long. But like, they all had very strange issues with their relationship with their mother. Almost like it almost felt like she was the other woman, and he was so attached to her, or they were so attached to their moms, like depending on her for everything, but hated her at the same time because she was smothering them. But like, it was such a push pull negative and toxic relationship. And so but I noticed that when they would try to make space with their mothers, then they would cling to me. Yeah. And that's a very, very significant thing that I've noticed. And like, they would cause division there. Like, so like, I couldn't we couldn't all be at dinner, like me, him, the mom, or the sister, or whoever else is important in his life, because he had to constantly keep that division between us. There had to constantly be division so he could have someone happy with him all the time. Because obviously, if we all had a relationship, then we would discuss things. And narcissistic people can't handle that. They can't handle not being in control of every person around them, and that's called triangulation. They sort of, like, when things aren't good with me, then they'll go and cling to these people and vice versa, and it's a constant like battle between everyone. And it really has nothing to do with me and the other person. It has everything to do with what he is planting. And there's a lot of that in every, like in every one of those situations. I can see it. And I could see it very early on here. And I remember talking to him about that and saying, hey, we gotta figure this out. And I was just telling him just what I had observed. Immediately, this is the difference between him and my ex-husband, was immediately he agreed with me. Oh, you're definitely right. My ex-husband never agreed with anything I said. He just deflected, and he never even gave it the time of day. But this guy would agree with everything, like overly agree with everything I was saying. But then, like, out of sight, out of mind, he would throw it away. And he started going to therapy about a month ago to get back into my good graces. I think he thought that would work. But what I noticed more than anything was that he was learning in therapy how to be better at manipulating. And it blew my mind. Like, he was weaponizing things his therapist was would tell him. Like, he was using her words to attack me and my character. And that was a huge red flag. And I was like, all right, I think I'm done here. I think I've had enough of this. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I feel a little duped, and I feel a little just like I'm a little disappointed in myself. I thought I was like this, what did you say the other day in your live? Like, she's just smashing narcissists left and right. You know what I mean? Like, I am that person and I can see it with every other person. But like, when it's me, I want to fix that person. I want to give them way too many chances and way too many opportunities to walk all over me. And that is what I have to stop doing.
What do you think the benefit is to you to fix someone that needs to be fixed?
Well, because you know what it does, right? Like, I'm Amanda, and from a very young age, I equate people needing me to people loving me. I need to I need to earn people's love. That's what I've done my entire life. And my patient, the person that I take care of full time, he has a psychology degree. And one of the first things he said to me, we were joking around about the trend of toxic traits. And I was like, I wonder what mine is. And he, without skipping a beat, he says, you need to be needed. And I think that is a very accurate assessment of who I am. But I've got to stop allowing my need to serve people, because I love to take care of people, but I have to find a healthy space for that. Um, there are boundaries that need to be set in place where it's okay to take care of people and to love people. But it's not okay when that turns into being used by people. Does that make sense?
It does, because I would agree that you strive to have others need you. And as part of others needing you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they love you.
Right.
And you want to be loved more than you need to be needed, because if you're going to equate the two, then someone who has bad intentions will drain you, as you mentioned, of your energy, of your finances, of your time. And you will take that as them needing you because they're leeching off of you, but they don't love you.
Right.
So why don't you feel that you need to be loved versus needing to be needed?
I think, like, when I've spoken to you, when my dad was killed when I was 5 years old, and everybody around me, I was the oldest of, it was me and my little brother. He was 3. My mom was 24 and 9 months pregnant with my baby brother. My dad was very loved all over this country. Like, he was 24 when he was killed. And so at 5 years old, I am dealing with just this overwhelming sadness of him just being ripped from my life. And but I had to kind of put my own grief aside, because there was so much more sadness all around me, and I took it upon myself to keep everybody else okay. And I never really was allowed to deal with how I felt. And and I think that just has I've carried that through my life and into adulthood. And I think my goal in my own personal growth here, aside from the healing from narcissists and trying to stay away from them and keeping other people aware, my goal for me is to know and believe that I am worthy of love that I don't have to work for. And I am. And it shouldn't come at a price.
Not the price of your happiness.
Or my or who I am. I shouldn't have to give up who I am and what my beliefs are and sacrifice my boundaries and what feels safe to me for someone to say they love me. And I don't want anyone to tell me they love me. I think I could go my whole freaking life without having a person say the words I love you again. I am so sick of hearing those words. What I would love is to, what I would love, what I need is to be shown. Show me with the way you treat me, the way you speak to me, the way you interact with me, that you love me. Because to me, love is an action. It is not an emotion. It is not just some word to be thrown around. And I almost just get nauseous when I hear it anymore.
Do you feel that you will ever be shown the type of love that you want?
I believe I will if I command that respect and that I need to start to carry myself in a way that doesn't just allow people to sweet talk me into believing things that they're saying. I think if anything happened with this last situation, is that I realize exactly what I need. And it is not to be told 100 times how pretty I am or how oh, you're so strong and you're so pretty and I love you, I love you, I love you. No, no, because love doesn't do the things that this person was doing. And and love isn't a weapon. Love is it is such a beautiful thing. And what I believe love to be is very well defined in the Bible. And I believe that I will have that, whether it's a romantic interest or not. If you're going to be in my life, then you're going to treat me with love.
How would you want to prepare the next generation of men and women that will be going that have gone through something similar to you?
Um, find find it within yourself. Just know who you are. I mean, it's so hard, like when you grow up as a child and you're not loved properly as a child. And you have to learn this at my age, you have to realize who you are and what's important to you. And you cannot sacrifice those things for the betterment of any other person. Because the more you sacrifice yourself and what's important to you and what makes you grow and bloom as a person, the less that you're able to give and to do for those that you care about. And love is not a word. Love isn't a word that sounds pretty so someone can weaponize it against you to get what they want from you. Love is in the way people treat you. Love is patience. Love is kindness. Love is respectful. It's not jealous or boastful. Love isn't proud. Love doesn't rejoice in taking advantage of another person. It rejoices in truth. Those are all things that we can wake up every day and make a conscious decision to show the people we interact with. And if they can't show you that, then don't allow them in your space. Don't let them take up space in your bubble. But it all begins with showing all of those things to ourselves.
I mentioned this to someone where as children, we're taught how to speak, but not how to communicate. We're taught how to hear, but not to listen. We are taught how to say love, but we're not taught how to show it or understand it. And it's interesting that so many of us will learn that at different parts in our life. Some in maybe in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, or some will never learn it at all. Because the simplest approach is just to say the three words, I love you. The more adult approach and the more complicated or more complex would be to show it. Because you can go months without hearing the words, I love you. But when you ask someone, does this person love you? You can answer yes, because they treat me this way. They do this for me. They provide this. And I think it has become lost because we rather be satisfied immediately and fleeting. I love you, I love you, I love you, versus it being long term, saying that, man, this person that I'm with, look at all the happiness they've surrounded me with. Look at how they've impacted my life in a positive way. You can have a friend that shows you how much they love you as a friend, and that's more impactful and stronger than someone that you're married to. That's someone that you're dating, because you know, as soon as that person reaches out to you, you can feel the overflowing love. Whereas the person that we're living with, we're like, man, if only they knew how much I wanted them to show the type of love that would make me just smile for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And one lesson I can say that I have learned is that no matter how hard you try, and no matter how much you love someone, if you can't love anyone until loving you back. If they don't know how to love you, or if they just don't care enough to put forth that effort, you can't stay around and let them suck the life out of you, because all you're proving is that you're not loving yourself. When you're giving so much of yourself and not getting anything in return, I mean, what good is that? What good is that to anybody? I mean, I know there's something to be said for being steadfast and having long suffering, and for being there and honoring a commitment or whatever, but the commitment's already in, and the promise is already broken when that person stops honoring their side of it. And there's no shame in walking away and doing what's best for yourself. Yeah, I mean, I think that I know how hard it is, for people, the financial part of things, that the trauma bond, everything that keeps you tied to an abusive situation. But I am living proof that it is possible. I've done things that I never thought I could do. And so this thing, it's this big compared to the mountain that I've climbed.